absolutely adore these. The e.l.f. is incredibly reasonably priced, washes down with what we used to call back in the day a bunk buster. In this video, I'm going to talk you through my faves, fails and empties for autumn 2024. We've got skincare, makeup, fashion, movies and more. Hello and welcome, or welcome back. So here are just some of the products that I'm going to be talking about today. So we've got quite a few to get through. So sit back, relax, put your feet up, have a cuppa, and let's have a chat. So let's start with empties. And the first empty I've got here is this ordinary conditioner. Now, I dread to tell you how old this is. I honestly can't remember, but I think it's a really great product. And I have talked about this product and the shampoo that goes along with it in previous videos. I think it's particularly good because it's very gentle on the hair. And also it's incredibly reasonably priced. From memory, it's about £5. As you probably know already, the ordinary products are very reasonably priced, and it's unfragranced, as are all the products that I talk about today, because I'm allergic to fragrance if you're new to my channel. So although conditioner and shampoo, it's not the end of the world because they only stay on the skin for a very short time or on the hair. But I do think that this product is really good. It's got something called, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce this very long word here, which the ordinary tends to do, doesn't it? It tends to bamboozle you with these very long words that who can be bothered to look them up, frankly. But I trust the ordinary because it's got integrity, it's non-fragranced, and it's democratizing skincare, which I really appreciate. And so I trust it to put ingredients into its product that are going to be good for my hair, my scalp and my skin. So I really recommend this product. The only thing I would say, and I think this happens with a lot of conditioners, after a while it's very difficult to get it out of the bottle. So you have to store it upside down in order to be able to get the product out. Otherwise you're there shaking it forever. But I do recommend this product. I will be repurchasing it at some point when I've finished my other conditioners. Now the next empty I've got is this e.l.f. Suntouchable Whoa Glow SPF 30. Now I know in the UK and in Europe we have different rules about SPFs than those that are in the States, but I think there is an equivalent, and of course I will link everything, including the equivalents, down below in the description box. I think this is a fantastic SPF. I've really enjoyed using it. Let me see if there is a little bit left. Yes. So it's a tinted SPF and it's an SPF 30, which I'm fine with because the difference between a 30 and a 50 is really very, very small. It sounds like it would be almost double, but it's not. It's about 3%, I think. Anyway, I think this is a really lovely product. It certainly gives a great glow. And what I liked about it also, you wouldn't necessarily then need a primer, particularly a glowy primer. And actually you could just happily wear this if you were on a no makeup day. I think it gives a really lovely glow to the skin. And of course e.l.f. products, as we know, are also very reasonably priced. I hope that sheen is showing up on the screen. I'm not sure if it is, but I think if you're after an SPF with a glow and a tinted one at that, then I think this product is really good. I won't repurchase it in the near future, but I certainly will in the spring. Now, another product that I've talked about in, I think, my faves back in the summer is this Byoma Melting Balm Cleanser. Now, I have finished this up. I love this little tub. I think it's great. And I have really been into balm cleansers of late, although I'm moving into oil cleansers, which I will talk about at some future date. But let me just show you this. And maybe it's a feature of the time of year, I don't know. But this balm is very reasonably priced. So I'm just trying to get the dregs out of it if I can, just to show you. I don't know if that's showing up at all on camera, but just to show you what a really excellently priced and very effective balm cleanser this is. Let me smooth it on over the tinted sunscreen. It feels absolutely gorgeous on the skin. I mean, it really does give Clinique Take the Day Off a run for its money, and I think it's about half the price. And I really love this sturdy packaging. It's light, but it's easy to use. But I think this just is really attractive and easy to put your finger in. I mean, yes, you are putting your finger in, but hopefully you've got clean hands before you put your finger in the pot. And it's just a great little cleanser, and I certainly would consider repurchasing it when I use balm cleansers again. But like I say, at the moment, and watch this space, I'm using oil cleansers. Now, before we leave SPFs completely, this little beauty is from Ultraviolet. Again, I'm not even sure you can get Ultraviolet in the States. It's an Australian It's an Australian brand, even though it's Violette à la Française. And I bought these to travel to Budapest with in the summer, and they were in a little mini duo, and I think they're absolutely fantastic. Let me just see if there's a bit left. They're also tinted. Oh yeah, is there a tiny bit? Oh, they were absolutely ideal for a carry-on because they're so tiny. Oh, I don't know if I can get, oh yeah, there is a tiny bit there. Really great product. I think this is an SPF 50 plus actually. Makeup went very well over it. Really enjoyed using it. So great little minis. I think I bought mine from Space NK. But I think probably Sephora and other outlets will sell the minis as well. And would I consider repurchasing it? Again, for travel, I can't remember how much the full size is. I have a feeling it's quite a pricey SPF, but really good quality and really enjoyed using it. Now, another skincare product that I have finished is this Medik8 Crystal Retinal, and this is strength 10. I think this is the highest strength you can go without having to actually speak to them and maybe be seen by a dermatologist. Now, I started using this about 18 months ago, I think, and I started on the lowest level, which I think is 3, and then it goes up to 5 and then 10, something like that. Now, I really did enjoy using this. Well, I say enjoy. I was able to tolerate this quite well from the get-go. But I've now moved on to tretinoin, which I am actually struggling with a bit, and I'm having to do a bit of on-off cycling, as it were, with it. But I think if you are in the market for a retinol or a retinal, because this is about as strong as you can go, I think, without then going to tretinoin, which is the very strongest, then I think this is a really good place to start. Medik8 is an extremely good brand. It's very reliable. It's British based. It's not cheap, but it's very good quality, and they really know their stuff. And I think if you don't want to go to a dermatologist, or you can't afford to go to a dermatologist, but you want to buy a really good medical, well, I'm not going to say medical grade because I think that's a bit of a nonsense actually. I'm not sure I buy into medical grade, but if you want a really good, reliable and well researched product, then I think Medik8 is great. I won't repurchase this at the moment because I'm on tretinoin, but if I had to go back down to another level, I would definitely go back down to Medik8. Now, talking of retinol, a couple of products that I did like but I've stopped using are the Paula's Choice Barrier Repair Moisturiser. Now, I stopped this because it's got retinol in it and because I'm now on tretinoin, but I did like it. And I'll just show it to you. There's a little bit left, I think. I mean, it's a lovely creamy cream. It's a night cream, but it does have a bit of retinol in it. It's a very small amount. So I suppose if you weren't using retinol, but you wanted a nice rich night cream with just an added little active in it, this would be a good product. It's lovely and creamy. It feels really nice on the skin. It certainly didn't irritate my skin in any way. And I did enjoy using it, but like I say, because I'm using tretinoin now, I don't want to be adding any more retinols into my evening skincare. And another Paula's Choice product that I did enjoy using, but then I think I just overdid it, was this exfoliant, which is the Skin Perfecting Exfoliant Peel. Now, it was a bit peely after a while. It was okay for a little while, and then I just think I overdid it. I was probably using it 2 to 3 times a week. But I think if you just used it once a week, it would be fine. At the moment, my skin is being very difficult, and it probably is to do with the tretinoin. It's quite dry, and I'm having to be really careful about what I put on it in order not to make it drier than it already is. So I won't repurchase this for now, but I think if you've got oilier skin or combination skin, it's a gentle peel. It's not over the top. And again, I really trust Paula's Choice. Like Medik8, they really do their research. Their products are unfragranced. They were started by Paula Begin, who I think started the website Beautypedia to give people the right information, the correct information about products. So I really trust her. And I think this is a great product if you wanted to exfoliate once or twice a week. Right, before we go on to faves, let's go on to just a few fails. And the first one is this e.l.f. Hydrating Primer. Now I thought I'd give this a go because I was looking for primers to wear not just on my complexion but under my eyes to make my concealer go on better and stay on. I thought I'd give this a go because it said hydrating in it, but it really didn't work at all on my complexion. It peeled really badly. Now you'd think because it's a kind of a gel cream consistency and it feels lovely on the skin, that it would work. Now it feels beautiful on the skin. In fact, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Supergoop SPF. Do you remember that from a couple of years ago? Well, I say from a couple of years ago, that's when I tried it. It was very expensive. It's got that lovely smooth gel cream-like texture. But honestly, putting makeup over the top just did not work at all for me. So I was really disappointed. Now that's not to say it wouldn't work for anyone else, but it really did not work for me. Now Gabby mentioned this in one of her videos. I can't remember which one it was, but I'll try and find it and link it down below for you. And I think she got on very well with it, but she is a lot younger than me. And maybe it's because my skin is so dry at the moment anyway. But of course a primer is supposed to be worn under makeup and help your makeup to go on more smoothly. This one just did not work for me at all, I'm afraid. Now another product that was a complete fail, which I mentioned in my Mature Beauty makeup video, which I'll link down below for you if you haven't seen, and this was the Rumi Tinted Eyebrow Gel. There didn't seem to be any product in it at all. I mean, whether it was a faulty batch or a faulty product, I don't know. I was really disappointed, not just with the product, but actually the brand, because it missells itself, in my opinion. It says it's a family-run company, and it's not. Anyway, I was quite anti it, but I was prepared to give the products a go, and this did not work at all, unfortunately, so really disappointed with that. Let me know if you've ever tried any Rumi products. They are available on Amazon, and I think they might be based in the States, I'm not sure. But anyway, really disappointed with that. So that was definitely a fail. And now let's talk about RMS Beauty, which again kind of markets itself as a mature beauty company. Now, I'm not anti the company because the woman who founded it, Rosemary Swift, is a mature beauty and she looks absolutely fabulous wearing her products. But I have to say, I've actually got a couple that are fails. Now, it may be that they're just not suitable for me, but I tried this eye tint a couple of months ago, and I'll link the video where I tried it down below for you. It did not last at all. It looked lovely on the eyelids, by the way. It looked really beautiful, and this shade, I've forgotten the name of it now, but let me show you what it looks like. It's got a lovely sheen to it. It was quite tricky to get on, I found, because I don't think tubes are really an ideal way to be applying eyeshadow, because you can end up with a huge blob, which is what happened to me, and I actually got it in my eye, and it didn't sting, but it was quite irritating. It is a beautiful shade, as you can see. It's a kind of purpley shimmer, and it did look lovely on the eyes. But let me know in the comments, do you actually enjoy applying an eye tint from a tube? I just don't think that that is a good delivery system, for want of a better expression. I mean, it does come with this metal kind of tubey curly thing. You know what I mean? To try and get the dregs, the remnants out of the bottom of the tube. But I don't think I'm ever going to get there, to be honest, because I mean, I might use it again, but why would I when it's not convenient? I mean, one of the things I think is so important for us, maybe it's just because I'm impatient, I don't know. But as we get older, do we want to be faffing around with getting a tiny bit out of a tube and then carefully putting it on our eyelids, which, as we know, are very crinkly, and it's not so easy to smooth on an eye tint over a crinkly eyelid, is it? Let's face it. So I do think that this eye tint, beautiful though it is really not suitable for us older women with crinkly eyelids. But let me know what you think. Have you tried it and what did you think of it? Very pretty shade, probably going to declutter it. Now, another RMS product that I was quite disappointed with, and actually I've got two, not just RMS, but a Rare Beauty one as well, is this beautiful blush. I mean, it is beautiful. Look at that colour, and that's what I fell in love with. It's absolutely stunning. But unfortunately, on my cheeks, it shows up every pore, every line, what is the word when your skin isn't smooth? It's got, every texture. It is stunning. It's a kind of a raspberry shade. I mean, look at that. It's absolutely beautiful. But once I apply it to my skin, it shows everything up. I mean, yes, possibly the shade isn't the right shade for me, although I do love it, and I'm sure one could have sort of sheared it out a bit. But this kind of shadow is really not, I don't think, for mature skins. But again, let me know what you think. I know that some of you, when I did showcase this before in a new products video from a few months ago, you said that the shade wasn't right for me. And I'm sure you're right, it probably isn't. But if I was younger, when my hair was darker and perhaps I looked a bit more cool toned, I would have really gone for this in a big way, and I think it would have looked great on me. But I just don't think it's the right product for mature skins. And I'm afraid I also feel the same way about this Rare Beauty blusher. Again, I fell in love with the colour. It actually feels smoother to the touch than the RMS. And look at that beautiful shade. Again, absolutely stunning, but really did not suit my skin at all. It showed up every pore, the texture and the pits in my skin, and it really did not work at all. And it's such a shame because both these blushes are really expensive. I will, of course, declutter them. I'm sure I'll find good homes for them to go to. And to be fair to Rare Beauty, it does not market itself as a mature beauty product, but I just think it's a real shame that it didn't work for me. And maybe I'm learning a lesson here that very deep shades of powdered blush are really not suitable for me, that if I'm going to use a powder blush, it needs to be a paler colour. And maybe I ought to wear more cream blushes, which I do, but I like a powder blush because they're easy to apply and they're quick if you're not cat-handed with the brush like I sometimes am. But these powder blushes really did not work for me at all. Now let's go on to my faves. And the first products I want to say that are absolutely my faves and that I have lived in for the past few weeks are the Eldridge Silk eyeshadows. I absolutely adore these. I cannot tell you how much I have worn them over the past few weeks since I bought them. Now I did a dedicated video, which I'll link down below for you in the description box, where I go through all the shades that I've got, all 4 of them. There are actually 5, I think, but I only got 4. I'm tempted to get the other one. But these are so much easier to apply than the RMS. This is why I say the RMS is just not, for me, an easy way to apply a shadow. But with these, you have a small doe foot, little tiny doe foot like that, so it makes it really easy to plop some onto your eyelid. Then you can smear it with your finger, or you can use a brush. And like I say, everything's demoed in the dedicated video that I did, but they are so beautiful. They're so forgiving on mature eyelids. You can use them as a one and done. You can do them as a two and done, so you can put a lighter colour on the lid and then you can put a darker colour on the outer edge. They stay put. They are absolutely stunning and I adore them. And the shades are beautiful as well. They've got, as I say, 5 shades, I think it is. And you've got some deeper, darker shades and some lighter shades, and they would suit all skin tones, and I can't recommend them highly enough. I really can't. Now let's talk about favourite foundations. And again, I've got dedicated videos on both the e.l.f. Soft Glam foundation and the Laura Geller powder foundation. Now, I didn't expect to like this at all, by the way, but I absolutely loved it. And these two actually have been my go-to foundations since I first tested them. This one, because it's easy to apply, it gives a really great finish, and it's what I've got on today. And this one is even easier to apply because you literally just need a kabuki brush and a quick swirl over and you're done. And I have, as I say, dedicated videos on both of these, and since I did those videos, I promise you, apart from wearing the odd skin tint, these have never been off my face one at a time, obviously. I absolutely love them. The e.l.f. is incredibly reasonably priced. The Laura Geller is pricey, but they are both great foundations and very suitable for mature skins. Now let's talk about fashion, and the first items I want to talk about are some Marks & Spencer's jumpers, one of which I'm wearing today. Now these are made of what Marks & Spencer's calls either air yarn or cloud yarn, but basically it means they're made of polyester / acrylic, and this one I think has a tiny bit of wool in it as well, but the other two that I'm going to show you are purely acrylic and polyester. Now I know some people shy away from this kind of fabric because they can pill very badly quite quickly and then they start to look a bit grot. But I don't think that's going to happen with these particular ones. It has happened to a couple of H&M jumpers that I bought earlier this year, although you can use your cashmere comb, but I don't think that that's going to happen with these. And I'll tell you for why. I think it's because they are ribbed, so they're much less likely to show up any bobbles. Now this one I've only had, well, in fact I've only had, now these I've only had for probably about 6 weeks, but I have worn them quite a lot and they are so super soft. They're so comfortable. I don't need to wear an undergarment underneath. I don't need to wear a base layer, which I do find I have to do with cashmere even. I mean, I can wear it next to my skin, but my skin is really quite sensitive even to cashmere, much as I love it. So I do find it better to wear a base layer underneath my cashmere jumpers. But this jumper I absolutely love. And these are the other two, so they're all made of the same fabric, although as I say, this one's got a little bit of wool in it. I wore these to travel in. I think I wore this to travel out to the States when I went to New York recently, and I wore this to come back. They are just super comfortable, they're super stylish. They suit my casual lifestyle so well, and they're incredibly reasonably priced. In fact, this one I think was only £19.50. The other two were about £25. All the details, of course, will be linked down below for you in the description box, but I really think these are absolute winners. Of course, the proof of the pudding will be in the eating as far as whether they last, but at the moment I'm thinking they will, because of the fact that they're ribbed. They won't show up the bobbles as much, if there are any bobbles, than if it was just a plain fabric. And another fashion item I want to mention is this bag from Mango. Now this is actually a dupe for a Longchamp bag, which costs about 145 quid, and this costs about 25 quid. And honestly, it's been so good. I took it to New York with me. It was brilliant on the plane. It goes under the seat in front of you because it squashes down, and it even squashes down with this insert. Now, I can't claim any credit for this bag or this insert. This is all from Emma Hill, who's one of my favorite content creators on YouTube. She's a young woman in her mid to late 30s, I think, who does mostly fashion and lifestyle videos. And if you haven't seen her channel, I'll link it down below for you. It is extremely good. And I actually really like her fashion aesthetic, even though, as I say, she's half my age. But she discovered this insert to go with that bag. She actually had the Longchamp and she bought this insert because it's got all these really excellent compartments that you can use to stick all your bits and bobs in. But I found this invaluable, particularly as I could put my passport in it, and there's a zip-up pocket here as well. But it just makes it feel more secure and more shapely, as it were. It holds its shape better. But honestly, I've absolutely loved this bag so much that it has replaced my regular handbag, particularly if I'm going out shopping as well and I want to put a few things in it, even groceries and stuff like that. I think it's an excellent bag, and for the price, you really can't go wrong. Right, now we've dealt with beauty and fashion, let's talk about TV, films, etc. Now, Him Indoors and myself have really enjoyed watching 2 series, and I think there are only 2 series, of American Rust. Now, I picked this partly because I wanted to know a little bit more about specific areas in America, which I know so little about, including the Rust Belt. And although, of course, this is fiction, I thought it would be interesting to see how it was represented in the TV series. And also, I like the fact that apart from Maura Tierney, who I did know from ER, and I think she was in The Good Wife as well, 2 of my favourite series of all time. And I recognised Jeff Daniels, but I hadn't seen him in anything, I don't think. I didn't know any of the other actors, so I thought, well, this will be good to watch. And we were glued to our sets for both series. It's gritty, it's realistic, it's quite heavy in parts. It had a gripping storyline. The characters were quite morally complex, I would say. Some were morally dubious, but some were morally complex. And they were put into situations where you wondered whether you would have reacted the same or not. And I thought that was really interesting as well. So really enjoyed both those series. And then we also watched the second series of Sherwood. Now that's a British series set in Nottinghamshire. And the first series was shown, I think, a couple of years ago. And it was what happened after the miners' strike in 1984, or the fallout from that. And the reason it was interesting, and the reason I sort of lump it together a bit with American Rust, is both series touch on areas of the countries that they're set in that have experienced loss, that have experienced poverty and factories closing down and drugs and alcohol problems and all of that, which makes it sound terribly doom and gloomy, but the plots were really good and the characters were really good, both in American Rust and in Sherwood. So the first series of Sherwood, I would say, was probably the better of the two, but we did enjoy the second one as well. And it's got some great actors. Now, I did know quite a few of the actors in Sherwood, both series. Lesley Manville, I believe a lot of you are familiar with her, and she is a woman in her 60s who's a fantastic actress, and she is in both series, so if you like her you will definitely enjoy the series, I would say. Now I'm just going to touch on Elspeth, which I think I'd mentioned a few months ago, and we started to watch it, but I have to say I was quite disappointed with it, even though I absolutely love the actress who plays her, and I loved the character when she appeared in The Good Wife. But I think what's happened is they've created this series, and it's the same writers that wrote The Good Wife and The Good Life, I think, or The Good Fight as well. I think they've just gone off on a tangent and made her too silly, so I started not to enjoy the episodes. I just thought they weren't being true to her character, even though she is very ditzy but also very bright. So I didn't continue with that, but let me know whether you did and whether it got any better, because I see it's coming back for a second series, or it's already back for a second series. So I thought that was a bit of a shame, and I haven't carried on with it, but let me know whether you have and whether you think it's worth it. And I mention that because we've been watching a series called Ludwig, which stars David Mitchell. Now, Ludwig has a little bit of a fanciful storyline. You have to kind of buy into it. And I won't spoil it for you, except to say that it's a man who ends up becoming a detective with special powers. Now, it's not paranormal or anything like that, but it does go off into slight flights of fancy. I think you have to suspend disbelief a little bit, but I did enjoy it, and so did my husband. So we watched all 6 episodes of that. And the reason I mention that is because there was some kind of resonance with Elspeth as well, because she is a little bit left field and so is he. And actually it also reminded us a little bit of Poker Face. Now Poker Face, I think it was called Poker Face, starred Natasha Lyonne, and that was on about a year ago, I think. And we really enjoyed that, and that did actually have a very slight paranormal element to it, and if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. I thought it was really fun. So Ludwig, worth a look if you like detective stories and you're prepared to suspend your disbelief just a little. And talking of David Mitchell and moving on to audiobook, I've just finished listening to David Mitchell's book called Unruly. Now this is about the kings and queens of England up to the Tudor period, so up until the end of Elizabeth I's reign. Now, first of all, I have to say, David Mitchell, I didn't really know him as a comedian because I hadn't watched any of the comic series that he'd been in. But he's married to the presenter Victoria Coren Mitchell. And Victoria Coren Mitchell, I'm a big fan of. She does a fantastic quiz, which my husband and I have got into over the last few years, called Only Connect, which is, again, a sort of very left field, lateral thinking kind of quiz, actually. It's a little bit crosswordy and quizzy, and we really enjoy it, even though we can't answer most of the questions, but we do enjoy it, and she's very funny. And her husband is funny and amusing in this book, but the book is quite interesting. It is quite potty-mouthed, so if you're not comfortable with that, definitely don't give it a listen. But if you can get through the potty-mouthed references, what I really liked about it, and I'm quite interested in history, although I don't really read history books much at all. But what I liked about it was that he has a very modern take, an analysis on the way kings and queens operated up to the Tudor period. And so his analysis is very political, actually, and I really enjoyed that. It made me think about kings and queens in a slightly different way, well, in a very different way, actually, to the way I thought about them before. So if you're interested in that period of history, then I would definitely give it a listen. And actually, just before we leave TV and film, let me just ask you, are you watching Rivals? I'm not going to review it here because I haven't finished watching it yet, but honestly, if you haven't watched it and you want to watch what we used to call back in the day a bunk buster, then I highly recommend it. It's on Disney Plus. I think it only costs a £5 for Disney Plus for a month, so it's definitely worth it because it's 8 episodes, and at the moment both my husband and I are really enjoying it. And finally, I want to mention something called Substack, which may have crossed your path. Now, Substack is a platform, so it's another kind of social media platform, but it tends to be for writers and content creators. Now, some content creators on YouTube are also on Substack, and one of them is Anna Newton of the Anna Edit, who I've been watching for years on YouTube. And she does articles on Substack, and I'll link her Substack down below for you. You can get it for free, but then if you want more content from her, then you have to pay. I suppose it's a bit like YouTube membership where you get extra content if you pay for that. Now, I do pay for her extra content because it's a £5 a month, and for me it's worth it, but she also does videos on there. Anyway, I wanted to mention it to you because India Knight, who is absolutely one of my favourite journalists, also is on Substack, and I think she's also £5 a month, but you can get her content for free as well. You get some free and some paid for. And India Knight is, I mean, for me, it's absolutely worth paying a £5 a month for, because I used to buy magazines, and magazines are about a £5 a month now. I think the Woman in Home or Good Housekeeping, and I've stopped buying them because I'd much rather read India Knight's articles. I absolutely love reading her. She has beauty, she has not so much fashion, a bit of fashion. She has recipes, she has books, and the reason I mention her at this particular juncture is because she's just done a whole list of her favourite comfort reads, and honestly I find it such a joy to read her list of books that she finds comforting. And she mentions actually the Cazalet Chronicles, which I have read one of. Sorry, that's terrible grammar. I read one a couple of years ago, I think, and really enjoyed it. And she just gives some great suggestions of books to read on a cold winter's evening or a cold autumn evening even. So if you're interested in reading about that sort of thing, I highly recommend India Knight's Substack, and I will link hers down below for you as well. So I think that was a bit of a longie. I hope you've stuck with me all the way. And do let me know in the comments whether you've tried any of the products, any of the fails, any of the favourites, any of the empties. Let me know, because I love interacting with you in the comments. We have such a great chat there, and I really, really enjoy it. And if you have enjoyed this video and you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. And of course, give me a thumbs up as well if you have enjoyed the video. And if you'd like to hear more from me, I have a monthly newsletter, and the link to subscribe is in the description box below. And in that, I talk about the sort of things I've just talked about in this video, only you will get first dibs. So if there's anything new or anything exciting that I've just heard about, you will be the first to hear about it if you sign up to my newsletter. And thank you so much for watching. It means the absolute world to me. It really does. And I hope you're all doing really well. And I look forward to seeing you on my next video. Bye.